The Brown family's home in Flagstaff had a thick, somewhat oppressive air quality. Not even the hum of a TV in the distance, not even laughter or footsteps. The walls themselves seemed to be bracing for impact, but there was only a thick, tight silence. Robyn sitting on the edge of that enormous leather couch, her hands shaking and her eyes crimson from an unhidden night of sobbing, is almost a real possibility. In a different room, Cody was pacing with his mouth clenched and avoiding eye contact. Sensing that something was going to blow up, the children became dispersed and silent. For many years, this family told America a tale of perseverance, faith, and solidarity. However, there were secrets rotting behind those closed walls. Secrets that will soon cause everything to fall apart. What if everyone discovered the secret bank accounts, and the money that was meant to sustain the entire family was secretly siphoned off? What if the reality of favoritism, deceit, and manipulation was revealed at last, not only in rumors on social media, but in courtrooms and news reports? A family dispute wouldn't be the only effect. Relationships, careers, and reputations would all be on the line in this public reckoning. Robyn, Cody, Mary, Janelle, Christine, and their kids are the subjects of this tale. You believed you recognized the faces of the sister wives on TLC. But we're revealing what actually transpired after the cameras stopped rolling today. I am Helena, and you are viewing Sister Wives News on TLC. If you are interested in justice, truth, and the true tales behind reality TV, please subscribe and leave a comment. You will not want to miss a moment of this. The Browns were portrayed as trailblazers when Sister Wives debuted on TLC. They were courageous, affectionate, and committed to proving that polygamy could be about family rather than merely controversy. Leading the way was Cody, with his large attitude and wild hair, followed by Mary, Janelle, Christine, and then Robyn. With a promise of openness and truth, they welcomed millions of viewers into their homes, their hearts, and their lives. They were marketed by TLC as the quintessential example of a contemporary multiple family. A household full of children for wives, and one husband all cooperate to make things work. It appeared for a time that they had succeeded. There were family vacations, get-togethers, and the well-known couch interviews, where everyone appeared to be on the same page. However, the fissures became more noticeable as the seasons progressed. Though it was meant to be a time of opportunity and safety, the family's relocation from Utah to Las Vegas and then to Flagstaff instead brought stress and uncertainty. The children began to express their own frustrations as the wife's relationship with Cody became increasingly complex. Although TLC kept the cameras running, the tension that was seething beneath the surface was visible despite the deft editing. Then the scandal surfaced. In addition to Christine's anguish over feeling like an outsider, Janelle's silent battle to maintain harmony, Robyn's increasing power over Cody, and Mary's loneliness and emotional distance in her marriage, the catfishing episode went viral on social media and in tabloids. Millions watched as it all unfolded. After that, there were divorces, and the family's formerly cohesive facade started to fall apart. The family struggling to stay together was what viewers saw on television. But behind the scenes, secrets were being kept and confidence was being undermined. The Browns' impeccable reputation was beginning to crumble, and it would soon be difficult to conceal the reality. As the series progressed into its latter seasons, viewers began to notice discrepancies. Money-related queries flooded online discussion boards. In reality, who was being paid and how much? Fans criticized each episode, pointing out the fancy residences, the new automobiles, and the way Robyn always seemed to have a bit more. Was there something more involved, or was it just editing? The more family members spoke about financial difficulties, the louder the rumors became, particularly when Christine and Janelle were concerned about their futures, or when Cody discussed the expense of constructing on Coyote Pass. People began to wonder where the TLC money was going. It became a fertile place for speculation on social media. Some people said they saw business filings or court paperwork with Robyn's name on them. Some believed they had spotted clues about shell corporations or secret bank accounts. Favoritism theories were rife. Why did Cody give Robyn's children more gifts, more screen time, and more attention? Why did it appear that the other women were financially and emotionally excluded? We looked for hints in every Instagram picture and casual comment made in a confessional. As for the Browns, they disputed all of it. Cody dismissed inquiries regarding money, stating that everything was divided equally among the family. According to Robyn, the rumors were untrue and unpleasant. For the most part, Mary, Janelle, and Christine said nothing, but their silence just served to fan the flames. TLC, which always takes care to safeguard its reputation, declined to comment. No explanations, no declarations, just more drama, more episodes, and more unsolved issues. In private, however, the stress was increasing. The trust was eroding, and the family's finances were in disarray. The fans sensed it. The truth would eventually come crashing out into the open. But something significant was already in the making. With a thunderclap, the pivotal moment arrived. This time, it was more than a fan notion or a rumor. First, there was a leak. Screenshots of emails, legal papers, and money transfers that were sent from a former production assistant to a well-known reality TV blogger. The murmurs had receipts all of a sudden. Large amounts of money were seen in the paperwork traveling straight from TLC into a private LLC that was created in Robyn's maiden name. There were tax returns, bank records, and even emails between Cody and Robyn on how to hide information from the other wives. There was no denying the proof, and it quickly went viral on the internet. Fans were taken aback. The shock, however, was much more intense within the Brown family. Mary was caught off guard because she had always attempted to maintain harmony. Despite their problems, she had spent years thinking that the family's finances were being managed properly. Janelle, who had been in charge of the family's money for years, felt betrayed in a way that was beyond words. She trusted Cody. She trusted the system they had created, and now she knew she had been excluded. Already out of the family, Christine was incensed. Although she had suspected partiality, it was shocking to see the evidence in stark black and white. The adult children were devastated and incensed, many of whom had witnessed their parents' hardships and sacrifices as children. They resorted to social media, where they posted cryptic messages and, in certain situations, called out the injustice directly. The consequences started right away. Executives at TLC, who had previously been able to avoid airing the most messy family dramas, were unable to ignore this. After the network opened an internal inquiry, the news media learned of the incident. Embezzlement, treachery, and the demise of sister wives, as viewers knew it, were all over the headlines. Denials and accusations erupted in the family's group chats. Robyn attempted self-defense, claiming that she had just followed Cody's instructions. For once, Cody was at a loss. He stopped taking calls, ceased attending meetings, and appeared to fade into the background. The family's intimate suffering was exposed for the first time. It broke the trust that had bound them together for decades. The children were cheated. The wives felt taken advantage of, and the Brown supporters who had supported them from the start were forced to question whether any of it had ever been genuine. Since the proof had been released, there was no turning back. The repercussions was barely getting started, and everyone now knew the Brown secrets. The days following the revelation were a haze of turmoil and sadness. After being so cautious to keep their personal problems hidden, the Brown family was abruptly revealed in the most unflattering light. Shouting bouts sprang out amongst conversations that had previously taken place in whispers. In an attempt to get answers from Cody and Robyn, Mary, Janelle, and Christine confronted them. During those times, the anguish was intense. In a matter of days, years of sacrifice, faith, and hope come to an end. Mary wondered how long this had been going on, her voice trembling with rage and incredulity. The always steady Janelle was clearly rattled. Her confidence in the foundation of the family was utterly destroyed. Having already left, Christine had a peculiar mixture of loss and vindication. She had always had a gut feeling that something wasn't right, but it stung to have that feeling validated. Children were also caught in the crossfire. While some sought to avoid it, others were unable to contain themselves. Posts and comments on social media turned into a battlefield, revealing the extent of the damage. After years of feeling like second-class citizens and witnessing their mother's hardships, while Robyn's side of the family appeared to prosper, everything came flooding out. There was an overwhelming sensation of betrayal. When confronted with a situation they couldn't ignore, TLC took swift action. The filming was immediately stopped. After analyzing the Browns' contract and initiating a legal investigation, the network issued a brief, icy statement. The lawyers got involved behind the scenes. No one's reputation was important to TLC anymore, and they wanted explanations about where their money had gone. What had previously been the network's most valuable program was now a burden. With the formal cancellation of Sister Wives, the Browns' association with TLC came to an end. The suffering was accompanied by a renewed feeling of purpose for Mary, Janelle, and Christine. They were resolved not to let their story finish in silence, even though they were upset. Every woman started to speak up, offering her perspective in interviews, on social media, and in new endeavors. They discussed the years of financial deception, the emotional toll of being in a family where trust had been used as a weapon, and the gaslighting. Together with the support of viewers who viewed them as real women battling for justice and healing rather than as reality TV characters, the ex-wives found strength in one another. The family was shattered, but at last the truth was known and no more concealment was possible. The adults weren't the only ones affected. The darkest secrets of the Brown children's family were suddenly revealed in headlines and social media feeds, despite having grown up in front of the cameras. They had been attempting to understand their parents' fluctuating allegiances, their favoritism, and their ongoing conflict for years. Many of them were unable to remain silent now that the truth was out. On Twitter and Instagram, some of the older children shared painful and defiant remarks. Madison wrote about how painful it was to witness her mother suffer, while others appeared to receive preferential treatment. Always the mediator, Logan finally opened up about the amount of anger he had suppressed for years. Frequently vocal on the show, Gwen and Gabriel didn't hold back. They criticized the way money intended for the entire family had been siphoned out without their knowledge, the unfairness, and the broken promises. A sense of loss that transcended money, and Pence was present. These were children who had placed a higher value on family. They strived to maintain harmony at home even when it seemed impossible, spoke up for their parents, and faced criticism from the public. They were now forced to consider all possibilities. Some sent old family pictures with heartfelt remarks. Others told of dreams shelved, relationships that would never be the same, squandered opportunities, and college finances that never came to be. But there was also a desire to know the truth. In addition to seeking solutions for themselves, the children also sought explanations for their moms and siblings who had suffered. They asked that everyone who had allowed the fraud be held accountable, not only Cody and Robyn. The following generation of Browns was brought together for the first time, not by the family's traditional norms, but by a common will to see that the truth was eventually heard. The courtroom was crowded with reporters, admirers, and even some former TLC employees who had been behind the scenes to watch the Brown story evolve. Although cameras were not permitted inside, the tension was evident. Cody and Robyn, who appeared exhausted and nervous, sat on one side while their attorneys shuffled through piles of documents. Across from them, Mary, Janelle, and Christine sat calmly, but it was obvious that they were still dealing with the fallout from years of treachery. Behind them, their kids crowded the benches, some holding hands, some looking straight ahead, all intent on seeing justice served. The evidence was incriminating. Emails, LLC filings, and bank data were all displayed on a screen. According to the testimonies of former assistants and producers, Cody and Robyn used the family business as a personal piggy bank. Mary recounted to the judge the moment she became aware that her confidence had been violated. It was clear that there had been an emotional toll as Christine talked about the effect on her children's futures, and Janelle described how she had been kept in the dark about the family wealth. Prolonged silences, shaking voices, and tears as each victim attempted to articulate years of suffering. An era seemed to come to an end when the verdict was rendered. Cody and Robyn were sentenced to pay damages after the court found them liable for embezzlement. The family's assets were placed on hold while additional research was conducted, and TLC's case was upheld. For the Browns, it was the last, unquestionable confirmation that the family they had created for the cameras was no longer there, and it was a public reckoning. The ex-wives left the courthouse together with their kids. The secrets that had plagued them for so long were finally revealed, albeit they were not triumphant. The revelation of the truth had come at a great cost. Following the incident, Mary, Janelle, and Christine started to get back on their feet. Their sense of self, not just their life. Secrets and treachery were no longer a burden. They could breathe for the first time in years. After returning to Utah, surrounded by her kids and grandkids, Christine dedicated her time and energy to establishing a new support center for women who were escaping abusive situations. She freely shared her tale in the hopes that it would inspire others to have the guts to leave harmful environments. Consistently pragmatic and resourceful, Janelle launched a company that specializes in financial counseling for single mothers. No woman should ever feel as helpless as she did, she hoped. Her workshops soon filled up, and she discovered a new purpose in empowering people to take charge of their own lives. Mary turned her bed and breakfast into a wellness retreat, fostering community and healing. After so many years of observing her struggle, she found strength in the support of her followers and in her close friends. The three ladies collaborated to start a new documentary series, but this time they set their own parameters. The program chronicled their experiences as they recovered, rebuilt, and helped one another. It was no longer about drama for the cameras. It was about the power of starting over, truth, and perseverance. Their message was unambiguous. Betrayal can be tolerated. Your narrative can be recovered. And on the other side of pain, there is freedom. Janelle, Christine, and Mary were creating their own script for the first time. It's hard to avoid feeling both hope and despair when you think back on everything the Browns have been through. There was more to this family narrative than polygamy or reality TV drama. It was about loyalty and trust, and what happens when those qualities aren't maintained. When the truth eventually surfaced, it cost them nearly everything. However, that loss also presented an opportunity for genuine healing. Mary, Janelle, and Christine demonstrated that it is possible to rise, speak up, and begin anew even after years of heartache and deception. Anyone can admire them for having the guts to confront the truth, even if it hurt. Responsibility is important. Lies and secrets may persist for some time, but ultimately the truth comes to light. The Browns' journey serves as a reminder that no one should be forced to remain silent or settle for less than they are worthy of. Their tale demonstrates that you are not alone and that change is possible, regardless of how complex the situation may be. I'd want to hear your thoughts. Were you expecting this? What are your thoughts on how everything turned out? Leave your comments below, and remember to subscribe to TLC Sister Wives News to receive more updates, frank commentary, and the true tales behind the headlines. I appreciate you being here, Helena.